Minnesota sports community faced a tragedy this last weekend. Jessie Pierce, NHL reporter, as well as host of Bar Down Beauties, tragically passed away in a house fire along with her 3 children. No words can capture how everybody's feeling around the state of Minnesota about this. However, I'm going to read what Michael Russo posted on Twitter, as I feel he couldn't have said it better. There are no words to express how heartbroken we all are. Jessie Pierce was the most vibrant person, the life of the party, always with a smile on her face, always bringing a passion to every article and podcast and interview she did. Jessie simply loved covering the Wild and hockey throughout Minnesota, and had a way of brightening everybody's day with her upbeat, bubbly personality. I have literally never met anybody that had a way of being everybody's friend. More than anything, she absolutely loved Hudson, Caden, and Avery, and was the greatest mother who did everything she could to bring joy to her sweetest kids. My heart breaks for Mike for the loss of his wife and children, and Jessie's family, friends, and colleagues for this unimaginable loss. This hockey community lost a wonderful, energetic, and one-of-a-kind voice and storyteller and a grade A person. Life can be unbearably unfair sometimes, and it is impossible to make sense of this tragedy. Please keep Jessie and her beautiful kids in your thoughts and prayers. I wish Mike all the peace and support and happiness in the world. I wanted to point out that there is a GoFundMe to support Mike in this time, as well as other family. I will put the link down in the description. Please consider donating if you can. Rest in peace, Jessie, Hudson, Caden, and Avery. Welcome to Sideline Vibes, the Minnesota sports show changing the narrative of Minnesota sports fandom. I'm your host, Derek Long. Today we have Lynx, Gopher, women basketball, and Wolves reporter Andrew Dukowitz on to talk all things basketball. What a great episode we got here. And then, of course, State of the State. This video is sponsored by Sasquatch Media. Sasquatch Media is the premier video production company in the Midwest for documentary and commercial production. Sasquatch Media is an Emmy Award-winning production company. From commercial to branded content and TV series, they specialize in cinema quality production. They handle all aspects of the production process. A couple years ago, Sasquatch produced a hockey documentary titled Dream State. From a national airing on the NHL Network to winning Best Topical Documentary, Best Director, and Best Editor at the 2024 Midwest Emmys, to many film festival appearances across the world, Dream State was warmly welcomed back to the spotlight. A Minnesota Wild production and presented by TRIA, Dream State followed the legendary program of the War Road Warriors. A great example of this is their intro for the War Road season. It was shot on the frozen historic War Road River. It was directed, produced, and shot and edited by Sasquatch Media. You want a group that is hardworking and extremely passionate about what they do to share your story with others. Sasquatch Media should be your first option. Check out Sasquatch Media at sasquatch.media. SSQTCH.media. I have Andrew Dukowitz on here to talk all things like women's basketball and also some Wolves stuff at the end here. First of all, Andrew, how are you doing on this fine Monday?
Good, man. Got to watch the Gophers advance to the Sweet 16 in the barn. Wolves beat the Celtics, and we're going to have a WNBA season. So
Yeah.
not a whole lot to complain about right now. In like a month, I might be pretty surly. But right now, I'm good.
Yeah, you're like in the basketball equinox right now, and you're a part of all three. Now, it is funny. It's coincidence that you just started with the Gophers women's this year. And do you think it's a coincidence, or are you just the secret ingredient for basketball success in the Minnesota state?
So my first year, like with credentials covering the Wolves, was the first year making it to the Western Conference Finals, and then they did it again last year. My first year covering the Lynx with credentials, they made it to the finals, and then had the best regular season in women's basketball history last season. And now my first season with the Gophers women, they're in the Sweet 16. So I don't know if it's me, but I'm just happy I'm covering winning teams because it's a lot more fun when the vibes are good. It's tough to cover teams when they're not good. Then it just everyone gets a little more grumpy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it's me or if it's just luck, but hey, I'm here for it.
I think you're the common denominator. I can't think of anyone who dips their toes in all three of those things. That off the top of my brain, off the top of my head, but yeah, no, it's just been such a fun basketball season from that sense, and I'm really excited about the Lynx. That CBA finalized. Was it officially finalized?
Yes. So
Okay.
owners, board of governors signed off on it. The players association had a vote. I think it was something like 93% of the players responded to the vote of, should we join into this? The 93% that did respond voted 100%. So the CBA is stamped, ratified, whatever you want to say. It's not currently up on like the WNBA website yet. I'm sure they're having some extra lawyers look over
Sure.
it and just double checking and triple checking things. But as far as I know, April 6th is going to be the expansion draft. And then it's just it is literally just full burners ahead, race to the finish after that.
And then what date does the season start? Did they have to push back the date at all, or did they just locked in on the date?
They talked about pushing it back. They ended up deciding they didn't really need to. Um, First preseason game for the Lynx is April 28th, and then the regular season starts that following week after, so May 4th, May 5th area. Uh, Again, like they talked about delaying it, but at the end of the day, it's like you can still get that expansion draft in. You can still do 2 weeks of free agency. WNBA draft is normally at the end of April, and then you can still get a good 2 weeks of training camp. So they were like right up against it. If it would have gone another week, I think they would have had to, but they got it done kind of just in time, which, a lot of people's complaint is why didn't they lock themselves in hotel rooms earlier than the beginning of March? But I'm just glad they got it done eventually, because missing out on this season with the momentum they have built, especially with how baseball has kind of declined the last couple of years, and
Mm-hmm.
next summer 2027 baseball might be heading into a lockout. If they were to have missed a season or even missed games, it would have, I think it would have been catastrophic. I mean,
Yeah.
the chance they have over the next 2 summers is, truly, it's to the point where they could probably outdraw baseball, maybe even catch up to the NHL and outdraw the NHL as well. So happy they got it done,
Mm-hmm.
because you hate to see people lose that opportunity just over dollars.
Yeah, no, I've always been team like just pay the players, pay the players. I always like I've been going on and on about that, but um, the WNBA offseason is usually pretty interesting, anyways. Like I don't think the tightness matters because you have to wait till the college season is done, and that's always such a tight window, anyways. But like it is interesting to kind of like think about what could have been if that didn't get pass, and like this is their window, and they have that they're prepping for the Sunday night. Was it Sunday women's sports night, Sunday night or Sunday, which is basically for WNBA to kind of like flex their muscles and how well they've been doing the last couple of years. So I'm very happy about it.
I mean,
Now,
not
yeah,
not only that, so they have baseball's no longer partnered with ESPN, so WNBA is taking over those slots, right? They're going
mm-hmm.
to have Sunday women's sports. They also have Amazon. They also have Disney. They also have NBC and USA Network. And USA Network is going to have women's sports Wednesdays, where they have a
Nice.
triple header every Wednesday. And they still have like the local contracts, Ion and ABC. So again, like this summer, there are going to be WNBA games on probably 4 or 5 nights a week, and you're not going to have to look for them. They're going to be on Peacock. They're going to be on USA Network. They're going to be on ESPN. They're going to be on local and Amazon. So you're absolutely right. Like the stakes for this league, if they wouldn't have got it done, like there's a parallel universe where they didn't get it done, and people are kind of panicked right now.
Sidebar here. I really love like the Amazon and like Peacock. I love what the NBA's done with that. So I'm like really excited
Mm-hmm.
for this transition too with the WNBA too. Like I just think they've done an excellent job. I've never been able to watch more games basketball games ever.
Yeah.
It feels like in my lifetime. Just kind of a quick like summary of the main details of the CBA. We're not going to go through all of them unless there's some interest. There are some interesting ones that I didn't even know existed. So like they have a $7 million salary cap now. I don't remember what that was before, but I believe this is a huge jump from what we had prior.
It was 1.42 million.
That's insane.
Exactly one half of Joe Ingles' veteran minimum NBA contract. Now they are going to be paid just over 2 times Joe Ingles' veteran minimum contract.
Like,
so still kind of pennies compared to the NBA, NFL, other major sports. But yeah, I mean, going from 1.4 to 7. The other little thing I'd say on this is like, typically when you get a new CBA or when you're getting a salary cap for the next year, you go off of last year's basketball revenue. So the WNBA did turn a profit last year. No, they are not subsidized by the NBA. That stopped about 11 years ago. They turned a profit all on their own. Yes, Caitlin Clark helped, for the Caitlin Clark stands out there. Like, WNBA is in the green last season. Kind of what's impressive is, even if you look at last year's revenue, this current year's salary cap would have only been like 2.2 million, 2.3 maybe at the tops. So the Players Association were able to get like a pro rate salary cap this year at that $7 million, which I think is a lot of what that back and forth was about. Was, do we really want to have a salary cap at 2.2 million and then have everybody in the league be a free agent again for the inevitable jump from 2.2 to like 12 or 13, what it might be in 2027? Or does it make more sense to kind of meet in the middle there, maybe have the money start at 7 million this year and have more of a gradual jump to where it's going to be in a couple of years? But that's a huge win, because I would be hard pressed to think that WNBA wanted to pay out a few millions of dollars before they kind of figured out what their revenue would actually be.
Yeah, that is always interesting to like kind of figure out how that's going to, because it's kind of really, if they went to that smaller jump, it would affect a lot of the team, especially like the Lynx, for example, like the continuity they could have with their team, and that makes it a struggle as a GM to try to figure out what to do there. I would say too, the big jump, or the big topic of the CBA was the gross league and team revenue, the jump to 20%, which is still well below the average league. I can't remember what that number is, but this is a significant jump for, what was it, like 7%? I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but that was a big negotiating thing for them. So was this a big win for them, or for the players, or is this a good compromise in the middle? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it is. So, revenue sharing agreement from 2019 to 2025. 2019, it was about 10%, and it was supposed to get up to about 20 or 30% by the end of last CBA, based off of like total gross revenue numbers. Well, COVID happened, and all of those gross revenue numbers became impossible because the WNBA really lost 2 seasons. I mean, the NBA kind of were able to churn forward, but the WNBA, without fans, they didn't have the TV contracts to kind of keep it going. So it went from 10% revenue share down to 9.2, and then it stayed at that until this deal ended, which, the players wear the pay us what you owe us t-shirts, and it kind of got a, mixed review online, I think would be saying it generously. But like, that's kind of what they were talking about was, hey, we had a deal where it was going to get to a certain point, and then a world event happened, and you guys kind of said, sucks to suck. And then you're pocketing money when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier kind of start to really pull this league out of the, loss category. 20%'s fine. I think if you're looking at just that part alone, it's pretty low. Like, the players were looking for, I think they started out closer to 40%, which NBA, NFL, MLS, NHL, I think even like the PWHL all have about 50% basketball or sport related revenue share. WNBA started at 40, ended up at 20. The WNBA like league started off at 10, ended up at 20. But the WNBA kind of did something a little different where they wanted to reward the players that kind of built this infrastructure for them and kept the league alive. So if you look at the CBA, I mean, players with over 11 years of service are going to get like $100,000 each. Players with 8 years of service are going to get like 60. Players with 5+ years are going to get 35,000. And like if you were to add up all of that money, my guess is the revenue share would probably be closer to that 40%. But the Players Association really wanted to reward the people that kept this league afloat, working day jobs while playing in the WNBA at night. So I think when you factor in that side of it, it is a good kind of middle ground, because I think if you just took those lump sum payments out to past players, you'd probably see the WNBA be at closer to like a 30-35%. But they value different things, and kudos to them. I can't remember a league really doing that before in their first real negotiation.
Yeah, no, the player association did a phenomenal job, I thought too, like with that, and obviously with Fee leading the way in a lot of that negotiation too. Like, and Stewart, clearly they know a lot about, like I said this in the last episode, like I don't know if I want to be in a negotiation room with them, because they clearly know what a successful league should look like, and what you should be kind of like supporting the product, as it would be the players, and they did a phenomenal job. And some of the things that you didn't even think about, or that they didn't have, was like the maternity leave stuff, and also the like why am I blanking? No trade clause for if you that one doesn't cross doesn't cross your mind, but also that's insane to think that like that was possible to do if that was to happen. Yeah.
Put this into perspective, the last CBA, the players got dental plans. Like I have a tattoo of Lenny on my arm from the dental plan Simpsons episode. Like that, Homer Simpson got a dental plan before the WNBA Players Association did. Like that's kind of where they were at. So the fact that now they have like spousal leave for having a kid, the fact that like the rookie minimum in the WNBA is going to be $270,000 now, like people have to go play in Poland for like $1,500 a month to like make their mortgage payments in the winter. Yeah. They're going to be able to train, be a family, like hang out with, like actually have lives, as opposed to just play basketball year round, which like honestly that's how it should be. The WNBA has after the expansion leagues, like 170 of the best female basketball players in the world. Like they shouldn't have to play year round. They should be able to like raise kids and like have a house. But yeah, I agree with you. The no trade clause for pregnant players, wild that didn't exist.
Yeah, and I'm glad it does now, because that's probably something that should be.
Yeah.
You mentioned like the younger players coming in, and this probably had to be one of the hardest leagues to kind of maintain a career in, because you're coming into a team. I would just think of Diamond Miller and how top pick, but can't find her way into the rotation. Lynx can't hold on and be like, well, we'll be able to hold on to her for a while because of how the salary cap would work. It's like we can't do anything about this. So is this CBA going to be helpful for kind of maintaining and being able to like build while also having a competitive roster from this point out forward?
I hope so. I did the math. So last year, if every team kept as many players as they can on their roster, it's 156 WNBA players. Like that is insane. Yeah. Like an NBA team can have 15 rostered and 3 two-ways and a G League team. Yeah. MLB has like hundreds of players in a farm system. NFL has 54, and then you get like 12 on a practice squad. NHL has a few dozens on the main roster and the minor roster. Like it's the competitiveness of the WNBA has been, quite frankly, kind of ridiculous. You look at what this kind of CBA sets up, and it's now there's 2 extra teams. That's 26 more players that'll have a shot at it. And now that's mandatory to have 12 players on roster, which before the CBA you could have 11, you could have 10 and an injured person. Like you don't have to have 12. So now 12 players on a roster, and you get 2 developmental players that don't count against the cap, I believe. So 14 roster spots times 15 teams next year. Like an extra 60 people are going to be able to follow that WNBA dream, which those are the players like Alyssa Peely, who, if this CBA doesn't get done, she's probably just playing in Europe the rest of her career. Those are players like a couple years ago, Olivia Pupa, who didn't crack a WNBA team until she was in her late 20s, played 1 year for the Lynx, and then is out of the league the next year. It's just going to give more opportunities, which, and the other thing is there are 3 more expansion teams on the roster, so that'll obviously give more opportunities as well. But I do think it's going to make it a little less cutthroat, if that makes sense. Like I think the Lynx are kind of spoiled with their culture, where they really do kind of care a lot about the player and the person and kind of the life situation. It's not like that everywhere else. I mean, there are some teams where it's like people are kind of rooting on their teammates' downfall so that they can stick in the league longer, which hopefully that's a little bit less now because there's a few extra roster spots.
Yeah, no, that would be good. Kind of going off of that too, like
Yeah.
going into this off season for the Lynx here, this very rapid off season. How different is this team going to look? I saw there's so many free agents out there right now, and it's kind of they all kind of prepped for this to take place. How different will this Lynx team be? Maybe how many players are coming back, or not, who are losing? You think, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, right now, the Lynx currently have on their roster Ola Kosu, last year's second round pick, 20-year-old out of Russia, barely played minutes last year. They have, I think it's Maya Hirsch, M. Hirsch, who has not yet made it into the WNBA yet. She's still playing overseas. And Dorka Juhas, who took last season off just as like a mental health break, has been really good this summer or this winter playing in Europe, but she hasn't committed to coming back yet. So if you're looking at the Lynx 12-woman roster right now, it is just Ola Kosu, which not ideal. Um, the expansion draft, more things are kind of leaking out that teams are going to be able to protect 5 players. Maybe each expansion team gets to draft a player that is kind of like, I hate to say like forced to play in that city, but like they're not one of the 5 best players on any team and they get a max contract to go play in Portland for 2 years. Like could be worse, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you look at this Lynx roster, like I think Nafisa Collier, Kayla McBride are both back. K-Mac's been in the Twin Cities working out at Mayo Clinic. She was at both Gophers games. I mean, last year, she kind of said it, like she couldn't imagine going through losing in the playoffs with any other team or any other coach. So like K-Mac, I think, is back. Fee, I would be stunned at this point. She was at the Gophers games as well. Connecticut grad going to Gophers games. I feel like that's probably some sort of like a cookie trail that you can follow. And yeah, Fee's going to come back, I believe. And then I do think Courtney and T are coming back. Cheryl, watching them play in Unrivaled, watching them play in the one-on-one tournaments, watching just kind of how the Lynx have promoted this upcoming season. There is still a lot of court on the merchandise. There is still a lot of stud bud stuff. Stud buds are still in their Lynx uniforms on all of their marketing stuff. It'd be weird if, how business prone Court and T have been to continue putting Lynx stuff on all of their merch if they're going to leave the Lynx in 2 weeks. Like that just seems like a weird decision. And just again, they represented the Lynx at the draft lottery. Cheryl loves Courtney. Courtney has a great relationship with Cheryl. He had an awesome year I think they're a package deal. Like I think they're back. The other player I really do believe is back is Alana Smith. Um, I think she is a very, very like loyalty first type of person, and she's also like fits brilliantly with Fee. And if you're Alana Smith, the Lynx, I mean, she was thinking of retiring from the WNBA and just playing overseas before the Lynx signed her. She wins a co-defensive player of the year next to Fee. Like I think she knows kind of how much she means to this team as well as how much the team means to her career. So that being said, that means Jessica Shepard, last year's kind of backup big. I don't know how she resigns or stays unless no one else wants her. Bridget Carlton and Dejanay Carrington, both of those two are going to have big offers in free agency. Maybe one of them gets picked as an expansion draft team. Like that's 3 out of the top 8 players on the roster that might be gone. So I do think you're going to see 4 of the starters return. I do think you'll see T return. I would guess 1 out of those 3 players I mentioned return, but I don't have a good feeling on who it would be. I guess now's a good time to say though, the Lynx have the number 2 overall pick in the draft. So it's going to be like AZ Fudd or Awa Pham that joined this team. Either, the heart and soul of the Yukon Huskies making another Sweet 16, or it's going to be Awa Pham, a 6'5", 19-year-old that shoots threes.
Yeah.
I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the hard part for me is just like I just love this team so much, like their chemistry and like their what's the word, camaraderie, that it's emotional to have that kind of this be like potentially the end of like that big group together, but as the business goes, that's just kind of how it goes. And I would love to see out of those people, I think Lana's would be the one that's like the most like on the fence of kind of where that would go, and I think she'd be the biggest impact on her team if she stays, which I hope she does, because it was fun watching her in the Unrivaled, and she had a great time, a great season in that. So I don't know. I like to keep that core group of those 5 together for sure. But Gopher women's, you've been covering them this year. They've had an incredible, I would say, magical run here in this postseason. Their 2 victories have been situations where they had to come from behind at home. Mm-hmm. And a large part of that is just the building of the energy. And this team's really fun to watch. I haven't watched a ton of them throughout the season, but I've been like kind of keeping track of like Mara Brown is like really fun to watch. She's an absolute like just lights out shooter. Amaya Battle, is she Jameson Battle's sister? Is that her brother? Do you know?
That might be the case. Let me look.
Because I remember, because he is from Minneapolis as well, so I didn't know if there's any connection there.
Google really quickly is saying has one sibling, Jameson Battle, who plays for Toronto Raptors. So yes.
Wow. Okay.
Jameson Battle's sister.
Wow, that's cool. But
I did not know that. I've been talking to her all year. Had no clue. Delightful person.
She seems so awesome. Like I don't want to bury the lead here, but her game winner, and how her reaction was afterwards, it was just like so. It was just so funny that like she seems like such a nice person, but this team overall has just been, it seems like a lot of fun. I've been watching, like, seeing your stuff on Twitter. What's your favorite part about covering this team this year before we get into like the nitty gritty of the postseason so far?
I think just how different it is. Like covering the Wolves and the Lynx, this is like those players' day jobs. Like this is their job to win basketball games, to get better, to be good. So like you do have to be critical on them, right? Like Julius Randle has a tough stretch. We got to talk about Julius Randle having a tough stretch. Nafisa Collier gets injured. We got to talk about how that's going to affect the team and it might derail a season, right? And there's just kind of more, not negativity necessarily, but you have to be critical. Whereas covering a college team, like you you just don't. Like I kind of when the U kind of approached me and said like, hey, would you want to cover, the men's or women's team? First, like the men's team have enough coverage, so like no, I don't want to cover them, but I'll cover the women's team because like no one's there. And it's just so refreshing to not have to be critical of these people because like for most of the players on the roster, this is the peak of their basketball experience. Like they have classes the next day. Like they're going to be an accounting major. Like they're going to have a family in 6 years. I'm not going to be some dude on the internet that's like ripping them for their like defensive rebounding percentage.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of been nice to go into it that way of just like I'm trying to help promote a program and bring awareness to like a really good group of people, and like we can all enjoy it because there's not a whole lot of stakes. Like, yeah, if they win an NCAA championship, banners hang forever, all of that nonsense. But again, like 11 out of the 14 players on this roster are going to have day jobs and like a family in 6 years. This is probably going to be one of the times they need the least amount of criticism because like they're going to show up late for an office job and have to deal with that. And like that's just been it's just been fun. Like it's been fun to watch basketball games, to get to know these players and not have that other side of it where it's like, if they start shooting poorly, I'm going to have to write about how poorly they're shooting. With the Gophers, it's just like, hey, if that one's shooting poorly, I'll just write about somebody else because somebody else is going to be doing great things. The other thing I'd just say is like it's just been really fun to watch a group of players not like gel together because it's relatively the same group as last season, but like every week seeing more people show up to games and kind of build that like coalition of fans until they make the tournament and then there's 10,000 people there and it's double their season high attendance, and like seeing that journey from week 1 against North Dakota where there was like 1,100 people in the building to where it was when they were hosting games, that has also been like really rewarding because those kids deserve it. Like they work super hard and they're good kids. So yeah, it's been fun, and that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, the first thing that I thought of when you're saying like covering them and how it just feels different. I feel like you kind of undersold yourself in the fact that like I feel like you approach the Wolves and the Lynx in the same way, and I feel like the Wolves and the Lynx reporters are some of my favorite in all of like sports that I see. Because you guys do approach it in you could be critical, but also in a more positive way, I guess to say. Like there's no like I'm going to get you on this thing, and then like you're not trying to confirm biases. You're just reporting on what's happening, and you remember at the end of the day these people are human beings, and like I love watching. It's just a little sidebar. Like it was fun to see this team, and I've gotten to like more interested in watching Gophers women's, especially during this tournament time, because of how you cover the team. So don't sell yourself short there in that regard. But it is fun.
I've always said like with women's basketball especially, there's so many people that just need not like they almost need a permission structure, right? Because it's gotten such a bad rap for so long, and not like you watching the Gophers is like that. You watch the Lynx. Yeah. Like I know that it's not like a misogyny thing or anything like that, but I do think for a lot of fans, I mean, I'm in my 30s. I remember all the jokes that people were making about the WNBA when it first came out in the 2000s. Like for a large group of fans, it's not cool to watch the WNBA, but if you see John Krasinski on a Lynx podcast talking about it, it's like, okay, maybe I'll check that out. If you see more of it on your social media page and you're seeing Courtney Williams like be hilarious, it's like, all right, maybe I'll check it out. So you saying that means a lot because that's kind of been the premise of my coverage is like want to bring more attention to the game. And then also like the human side of it is just my favorite part. Like these dudes are good dudes and the gals I cover are good gals.
Yeah. And I feel like it kind of like it like reciprocates to each other. So like if the reporters are positive and have good interactions with the players, then they seem to have good interactions, and then they're more willing to share things, and then they're more willing to like there's more. It becomes like a better just community overall, and that leads to a lot of positive things. That's why we're seeing. This is why you're the common denominator, Andrew. This is what I'm talking about.
I will say, when I was asking the Wolves player about touchy feeling stuff last year, there was some eye raises of like, who the F is this guy? Like asking about like what I do with my kids. And this year it's a lot more like, here's some wholesome, vulnerable answer that will like really help fans understand me. Like I would have asked Dante about like why he works with rescue dogs last year. It probably would have been a one-word answer. But this year it's better because he knows I'm not just out there trying to like screw him. Because there is a trust factor with it, right?
Mhm.
Like if an athlete's going to be more open about their life, they have to trust the person isn't going to just screw them over with that information, because
100%.
social media sucks nowadays.
Yeah, it's true, and going back to the Gophers women, and the fact that this again, this is a very strong basketball state. I think, in my opinion, very underrated,
Mhm.
and seeing the amount of fans show up for these women, and like with just the utmost like enthusiasm to be a part of this. Win or lose, whatever, willing them back to from when they're down and help. I think the crowd plays a big part in that. But how awesome! You were at
Yeah.
both of these games, right?
Yeah.
I remember last night I was listening to the live show, and I was just thinking how awesome was it to be at these two games?
I wasn't at the Lynx 2017 finals where they played it in the barn. And after the game, Coach P said, like, that's the loudest environment I have ever played or coached a game in my life. And I kind of agree with her. Like Wolves Western Conference Finals, I did not leave that game with my ears ringing. Like Wolves against Dallas, OKC, or Denver. Like it has never been that loud where like I had a splitting migraine leaving the building from like the level of noise. And the Lynx finals 2 years ago, I think was close, but like it again, like I didn't leave the arena and just like want to vomit from how loud it was. It was like an appropriate level for a stadium to get loud. That game on Sunday was the loudest thing I've been at. Like I think it rivaled like Vikings games I've been to, concerts. Like it was just ear piercing, like loud the entire time. And then whenever anything happened, it would get so loud that you couldn't hear the shot clock, you couldn't hear whistles, you couldn't hear the PA. It was just deafening, which again, I have been told that that Lynx finals was even louder because like you could feel the floor shake. It was so loud. But that environment was insane. And again, Don after the game talked about it a little bit of just like, the Gophers couldn't give tickets out to like recruits or like Minnesota high school basketball players. There was a lot of them in attendance, and a lot of them texted her throughout the game of just like, this is insane. Which, I mean, that's how you sustain a program, right? Like you put out that type of atmosphere and be like, this is what happens if you win. Who wouldn't want to play in that? Which
100%.
that's kind of the same vibe like players had in the locker room afterwards too. Like Tori was like, they were cheering for us. Like this is insane. It was so loud, and it was like for us, which again, like you mentioned Mara Braun. It's kind of interesting when like Mara and Amaya both committed out of the same draft class to play for Wayland. That was kind of their dream, was to like rebuild this to like what Wayland had it when Wayland was in her days in the early 2000s. And I've kind of said a couple times on different shows that I've been on, there's not really any going back now.
Mhm.
Like next year, Mara Braun's back, Grace Grashowski's back, Tori McKinney's back. They have the Minnesota Miss, what is it? The Miss Basketball Award winner from Nebraska, Wisconsin, and two of the Minnesota finalists coming in the recruiting class
Yeah.
next year. Like they have recruits up and down that have awards up and down their bench. I think they are at a point now where it just, they're going to be ranked in the teens for probably the foreseeable future. And when I started covering this team, I wouldn't have thought it. I
Yeah.
mean, they, they won the WBIT, which is kind of the NIT equivalent for women. And they were kind of talking at the beginning of the season of like, wow, if we can get in the tournament as like a 14 seed. And no, they were ninth in the NCAA in net rating. They played a ton of good opponents. They beat 2 number 10 overall ranked teams. One of the best defenses in the country, and here we are, Sweet 16, which again, would not have guessed it.
It's been a fun run, and like you mentioned in players, like I can't remember how to say her last name. Is it Tori Orlean, the recruit that is coming in from?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I don't want to. Sorry. Tori's probably not.
I would butcher it too. Until I meet them and hear their name like 7 times, I will probably. It took me so long to say Grace's name right.
Yeah.
Grachowski.
Yeah.
I was like Grachowski. Like, I'm terrible with names. Oh, remember fun facts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good,
there
I
you
guess.
Go. Faces work for me. Facts. Yeah, I'm with you on that. She was like the number 2 all-time scorer, and not far off from just being the number 1. It was against Madden Greenway, which if the Gophers would have landed her, even that would have been like an all-time recruiting haul. But this is kind of the stuff that the Gophers need to have happen, especially for basketball, because we're such a big basketball state, underrated basketball state. If we can keep these players in state, and build from there, the sky is the limit there for both of those programs. But a little sidebar too.
Last thing I'll just mention real quick. 4 out of the 5 starters this year were Minnesotans. Sophie Hart from Farmington, Maya Battle from Hopkins, I believe she was there with Paige, Mara Braun, and Tori McKinney, all Minnesota kids. And then Grace Grachowski is a Wisconsin kid, and the other 2 rotationals were transfers that transferred in this season, which, again, like you talk about keeping kids home, like, this is how you do it. Hey, this is what's waiting for you if you stay.
100%. I a little going back to like the vibe in the arena and like how loud it is, and I actually got to play in this arena during the state tournament. A little subtle flex there, but I remember it being in not even full capacity, it being so loud. And I don't know if it has to do with like the structure of the building or what it is, but like it gets abnormally loud in there. But I'm going to just play the clip of the game winner because I think it's just an all-time crowd pop here. Like at this point, was your head just vibrating?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was that was probably like the piece, but there was I think Mara Braun hit a 3 and then they got a shot clock violation the next play.
Yeah.
And then Sophie Hart hit like that left hand like weird hook lay that she hit. Like it was so loud during that stretch. Like you could not hear the shot clock buzz. The only reason people knew the shot clock violation happened was like the red around the clock. It was, and you're 100% spot on. Like it's something with the architecture of that building, like whatever they used, concave for whatever it is. Like, I mean, that atmosphere, like, yeah, it's an old building. It's very gray. That was a new level of noise.
Yeah. And it was just so cool for like Amaya to hit that shot because she seems like such a her reaction was just perfect. Her like getting up and being like, she almost looked like she was gonna she needed to run back on defense because I think the ref was like, "There's still time on the clock." Like nobody could hear the whistle, and she gets up and like starts running back. It was so perfect, and I don't know. I'm locked in on Gopher basketball. One other thing too, I have to because this is part of something I got going on right now called Minnesota Madness, which is like kind of like fun moments that's going to help you remember this year. And the blanket lady.
Yeah.
What do we know about the blanket lady? Is she like the new Sister Jean from a couple years ago with UMBC and that or whatever Loyola Chicago? Like, is she just I think I read that she's like used to played for the Gophers, or in some regard.
So there is a really good article up on The Athletic that I would encourage everyone to read that's listening to this that wants like a ton more information on it. But essentially, like, her jersey's hanging in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Like, she played well before people cared about women's sports. She was kind of a pillar of the community playing, was a hell of a coach from what I understand. And she's a Minnesota native. So every home game, sometime between the third and fourth quarter, when she feels fit, I will add that. It is not a consistent, like, she does it every game. But if they're up by like 30 in the third quarter, she'll save it for a little while until they need a little juice, and then she'll do her little blanket run. But yeah, it hypes the crowd up. Even when there's like 1,500 people in there at the beginning of the season, like it hypes the crowd. Which, I mean, for someone to still be able to, as a fan as a fan now and somebody that puts so much of their life into basketball, to be able to still make an impact in your 80s is like, it's wild. Because like I do think that, that little juice that it gives the crowd does help, especially in college. Like, these players haven't shot 15 million jump shots. Like, they do need some of that energy from the crowd. And yeah, credit to her. I think it's awesome. I do think if they're all next year when they're on national TV, there's going to be a camera looking for Blanket Lady and just watching her on the first row up from courtside seats the entire game until she makes her move.
I love it. I love it. She's kind of like the equivalent of the Wolves when they put KG on the Jumbotron. Like, when's the perfect time to put him up there? And like, everybody get up. Like, she finds her moment and she knows it. I think I saw something about like a little blip from that article, and you got to go check it out. I haven't read the whole thing, but I'm sure
it's a good read. Like, it is long, I will say, but like, it is a good read. Like, the people at The Athletic always do.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird things that, like, I think, because I didn't know she existed until I started this team, and I'm kind of like a basketball junkie. Had no clue she existed, and then covering this team, it's just kind of like, who the heck is that? And ask other people in the media, and a lot of them are like, I have no clue who that is. It's just some fan that waves a blanket. And then to kind of see that expose in The Athletic of like, oh no, she's actually like dedicated 70 years of her life to basketball and is still going out there and doing it. Like, incredible.
I love it so much. Yeah, I'm excited for I'm excited for the Sweet 16 game. And who's the matchup again?
UCLA.
Okay.
Which tough.
That's a tough draw, but
UCLA has 6 players expected to be drafted into the WNBA this in a month. That's a tough draw, but Gophers played them pretty tight for 3 quarters when UCLA was in the barn earlier this year, and then Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice just kind of took it over in the 4th. But this Gophers, the weird thing with them is like their defense gives them a shot in every game. Like, it is an elite, like top 20 in the country every single night defense. With them the whole season, it's just been, can they hit shots? Which I think people saw that in Green Bay, where it's just nothing could fall and it looked disjointed. And then they started hitting shots and vibes got good, and then it's over. I felt the same way against Ole Miss, where it's just they could not get anything. And then all of a sudden they score, 9-2 run or something like that, and it's over. I mean, it's going to be similar with UCLA. Like, I think it's going to be like a 60-60 ball game going into the 4th. And then it's just, can the Gophers get hot? If they can, they have a chance. And if they don't, UCLA probably holds off. But yeah, it'll be fun.
That's the best part about March Madness is like you get to this point too. It's like anything can happen, and we have the kind of the firepower, and it's good that we've played them once too. That's also a big advantage.
Yep.
Because you kind of see, okay, well, what can we throw at them that's going to be maybe what they haven't seen yet, but we know what's not going to work because we played them once. So that'll be a good one. I want to talk a little bit of Wolves just because this is a very crucial part of the season, but I don't want to keep you too long.
I said, I got nowhere to be. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. This stretch here since Ant was out, 3-1 so far. It feels not like that though, and we have a win against Boston, which I think is one of probably looking back, it might be one of the biggest wins of the Wolves season. Wherever we may end up, we could look back at that game and maybe see something there. What are we learning about in this little stretch here with Ant being out about this team?
Two things. This offense is not very good without Ant.
Very
that
volatile.
might sound obvious. If you look at their last 5 games, which yes, Ant played in that last game. He was incredibly inefficient and looked hurt. So I'm lumping that one in there because that wasn't normal Ant. They're 24th in offensive rating. Like they're without Ant, they don't have enough juice to do a whole lot. But the team plays more connected without Ant. Like you can tell there is just a little bit more trust that when they pass the ball, it might come back to them. You see Dante's a little less sticky with it. Io certainly has been, a very willing passer. I think Julius has been better getting off the ball a little bit too. And then the other thing is their defense has been awesome. Like just yes, their defense without Ants has been great. And I do think part of that is, Ant's not playing. That means you have Rudy, who is locked in almost every night defensively. You have Jaden, who's locked in almost every night defensively. Dante, who might not be the best defender, but he is going to try as hard as he can. And whether it's a broken nose or biting through his tongue, like that dude's going to bring it. And you have Io, who also plays just with so much aggression and fire on defense that really the only guy that isn't, as locked in on defense is Julius. And like, if you're Julius, you kind of look around, and I think he's been playing some of the better defense of the season because the other 4 guys around him are probably playing out of their mind. And he's just kind of like, well, I guess I have to. Like, I don't want to be the only guy not playing defense. Whereas I think when you have Ant in with Julius and you have 2 guys kind of in and out on the defensive side, like whether it's attention to detail, mentally, off-ball stuff, it kind of gives a permission structure for the other guys to like, Ant's going to get blown by. What the F am I doing, right? Yeah. Or if Julius isn't going to, why am I? The other thing I think has been telling is just, I talked to Jaden and I talked to Rudy about it pretty extensively of just like why ball movement matters so much with their defense. And they're just like, because when guys touch the ball on offense, they play harder. Like
it's a fact.
Jaden goes 17 minutes without touching the basketball. I think it's human nature to get kind of out of the game and kind of list a little bit. So I think that's something we can learn, that like, you got to surround, maybe not this season, but like into the future, you do need to surround Ant with like kind of those high energy defenders, and you can't have too heavy ISO players. Like I just think without Ant in there, like offense is a lot more like Chris Finch's kind of vision, I think, than with Ant in there and Julius in there. Yeah. Which, I mean, I've kind of said on the last few post games, Ant, I hope there is just watching Io. Like, how easy it is for Io to score in transition, how easy it is for Io to just move a little bit off ball and kind of move into space. Not even necessarily like back cuts or anything hard, but just like take that extra step to the corner. Take that extra step back above the break so you get a runway when you catch. And some of the off-ball stuff that, I mean, if Ant just were to start doing that, he probably gets like 4 more points a game, which is ludicrous seeing how he's averaging 30. But that's kind of my hope, is that Ant comes back in a similar way that Julius did last season and just, not being with the team up and close every night, kind of has some perspective of just how easy it could be for him to get some extra points.
Yeah. I agree with all that, like 100%. I think I said this in my last episode here, that this is the worst time for him to be out, but also the best time for him to be out, if that makes sense. Like, we're not going to necessarily, hopefully, I don't think it's possible, like, get out into that plan, but especially after that win in Phoenix. But we can find ourselves guys that maybe needed to figure out their role a little bit better, kind of figure that out without having the pressure of we got to make sure that we get our guy the ball, you know.
Yeah.
And I think Ant is very good at people are a little concerned about him not being at the games, which is kind of weird to me because like I feel like with knee inflammation, don't you like kind of like you want to stay off of it? So traveling probably is out of the question. Like I don't think that that should be happening, but I feel like he's a great teammate and he's gonna come back and be like, I needed that little just break and step back and be like, I don't need to put the whole world on my shoulders. I can get mine while also in the process of everybody else getting theirs. And he's always been that teammate who's hyping everybody else up. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of reset and regroup. And this Boston win was so much fun because it was all those things. Like you saw Jaden's offense start to come back because he just started playing like just. As soon as he saw that one shot go in, he's just like, all right, here we go. It's game time. I have to step up against these guys. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch that game. And so hopefully it kind of carries over. And I think Finch kind of has been pretty spicy. It seems like, I don't know, you've been more in the mix of it, but like he was getting, if I remember correctly, last year was this, well, maybe I'm like forgetting something here or misremembering it was this year, but he got tossed. Was it last year or this year?
Yeah. He got tossed this year.
Yeah.
Did he get against the Oklahoma City? I think
okay.
Last year I can't remember if he got
game?
tossed in Phoenix or if he what happened, but there was kind of this Finch just lost his bleep on a film review.
Yeah.
And everyone was just kind of like, oh God, like we better, this guy's going to die if we don't start winning basketball games.
Yeah.
Then they kind of surged in this run. I mean, this year he's been, I think he's just kind of at a point where a lot of fans are, right? Of like, you can't yell at him every night.
Yes.
Like if you're just screaming at him every night, the message goes unheard and it kind of goes. And I think he's to that point where he's just like, F it, I'll try calling Julius out post game and see how that goes. Like that didn't work. All right, I'll just get a tech on like the ref.
Yeah.
That didn't work. All right, well, let's try the next thing. I think that the team is just so weird because they're all very confident. Like
yes.
This team expects to make the playoffs and then go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like this is not a team that's like looking around like, oh crap, like we don't have it. They literally are just like, I think Finch said it around around Christmas, like they just play bored sometimes. And like
it's always been
that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
Is they just kind of seem bored, which I think there's two thoughts. Like maybe this team needs to make it to the playoffs and just get knocked out in 5 in the first round and learn that they have to take the regular season seriously, or they do what they've done last year and the year before and they just flip that switch.
Yeah.
And then they're in the Western Conference Finals again.
Yeah. It was I feel like Finch is in that mode. I feel like he kind of gets a little, what's the word? He gets a little cranky at the end of the year. Like I feel like it's like that dad who's on a road trip and the kids are just like pushing the buttons, but he's not saying anything until one moment he's just gonna lose it, and then everybody locks in. And I think we're either already had that point this last week and we just didn't hear about it or see about it or anything, or it's almost about to happen, or it's like about to go off. Because it was interesting to see in the Celtics game. I don't know if it was a normal rotation thing, but or what their plan was, but I feel like Rudy and Randall kind of had a moment where they had to take him out, and that's when Clark came in and Kyle came in. I don't know how long for, but it was like we need something. Like we can't just keep doing this thing, and you guys got to figure it out. And then Rudy came back in, Randall came back in. Sometimes you just need to do that a little bit, and I think people rag on Finch quite a bit, and I think some of it can be annoying because as fans, you're like watching it, like you want your coach to be like very vocal and do stuff and look like he's like manipulating the game, like and doing all these things. But Finch doesn't have that approach. It's still effective. It's still like kind of like a Greg Popovich type of vibe where you're doing the stuff behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, the players have to do what they're supposed to do, and like we're gonna hold them accountable, but not in an open forum, and that makes sense. Like an open, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see how this Wolves season is going, but I'm always going to be high on them until they prove me otherwise. Like it's just crazy how they can flip that switch.
I just add on Finch, like Hollinger and Duncan do their coach rankings, right?
Yeah.
They have Finch as the 6th best coach in the NBA. Like Hollinger and Duncan have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
Like the guys in the national media, like Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons, like Ryan Russillo, all love this dude. Like think he is awesome. Like in the local media, I know we get kind of flack sometimes for not like being hard enough on him or challenging him and stuff like that. And it's like, this is going to be a 50-win basketball team at the end of the day. Like, he has done a really good job. Like, he just has. I think Julius is a really frustrating player to manage and coach, and Finch has gotten the most out of him, arguably, in the past 2 seasons. Ant has gotten better every single season. I would say at least a part of that is Finch. Naz and Jaden have gotten better every single season. A part of that is Finch. That trade for Io, they don't do it without Finch saying, yes, that's a guy I can work with. Like, it's not like Tim Connolly's just like YOLOing out the window. Like, him and Finch have a good relationship. I mean, even like Dante is not a point guard. Dante is not a lead guard. Dante does not dribble the ball up the court for any other team other than the Timberwolves. And he's been like fine here. Like Finch has found a way to make Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, Dante, Jaden, and Ant to be like a cohesive unit. That is good coaching.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the problems that Finch has is he just falls on the sword a lot.
Yeah.
Like perfect example is the Portland game. I would be willing to bet everything I own that the play that was drawn up was not Dante going right and bricking a layup and then Rudy trying to like volleyball it back in. Promise you, that was not it. And Finch after the game is like, yeah, our execution wasn't really good on those plays, but I got to draw up better stuff.
Yeah,
like we don't know what he drew up because it didn't get run. Like there is no way Chris Finch, former point guard, basketball coach for 30 years, is like, let's do one pick and roll where Dante just drives it into traffic and does like a weird hook shot. And then Rudy's going to volleyball it at the basket.
Yeah.
Like, so I think some of it would, if Finch was more like not honest, but if he was less willing to take all of the blame and he were to be like, yeah, Dante didn't do what I told him to do.
Yeah.
I think that would probably get him a little more love from the fan base. But also then everyone's going to hate Dante.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Like
he's not really,
like,
he doesn't seem like,
I don't know.
Yeah. He doesn't seem like an online person. I don't think a lot of our guys are very online, which is probably a really good thing for them because for some reason in the last year and a half are what used to be a so like positive like fan base online. The Timberwolves, out of all the fan bases that I follow in Minnesota sports, Timberwolves by far easily like the most fun and like positive, has just become so like just negative all the time. I don't know if it's just because the expectations are so much higher. We have the influx of fans that were kind of not really fans for a while, and now come back on the wagon. It's like, this is our team. It's like, I think the fact that, and this goes back to the fact that how you guys handle yourselves as reporters too, like you don't challenge them in that sense. So he feels comfortable being able to maybe like to share it, and then he doesn't feel like he needs to throw his players under the bus because he could just lay in the sword. He knows nobody in that room is going to kind of go after him like you see like the Russell Westbrook situation with I can't remember the guy's name, but like you're not gonna have any of those interactions, which is that's a good thing, and it makes it so that it's there. I don't know. I just think overall that helps in the situation, but as a coach,
Well, it's also like when people do go after them, like so like I post a lot of the post game comments and stuff like that. Like I don't post the entire show. I've talked about that before. The upload speed for X, it would take like 2 hours to post a 7-minute post game interview. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So like I post the things that like when I was but a fan and had no credentials, no media access, I posted the things that I wish when I was laying in bed after a Wolves game was on my feed.
Yeah.
Like that's how I kind of approach it, of like, would this have been interesting to me 6 years ago? A lot of times like Finch will do the whole like, I gotta be better. And then like Jace or Dane or John or myself or Chris or Britt, like someone will be like, well, what could you have done better? And then Finch will be like, taking a timeout, maybe running a different play out of it, having it inbound to a different guy. And he'll give like kind of a him-ha answer of like what he could have done. But like a large part of me thinks he's just like saying what he had on the old grease board of like, this is what would have happened if people listened.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not entertaining. Like, that's not, what do you get from that? Of if someone's like, hey, Finch, what would you have done on that last one? He's like, yeah, I wish there was a little more space that Rudy got out in the post for that screen.
Yeah.
And maybe Dante passes it one extra time. It's like, oh, all right.
That didn't happen.
Like, yeah,
so
that would have been great.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Yeah.
I guess like he gets challenged and kind of the same way. Like he just plays on sword of like, I gotta just be more clear is one of the things he says a lot is I gotta be more clear when I'm talking to people. And it's like, again, I don't know, man. It seems like you're pretty direct. Like
it is pretty direct, and it should be as vague as that. Like as a coach, and in that exact situation where you draw up a play, and I've been in a situation. It's high school, so it's obviously different level to it, but
same frustration.
You drop a play. There's been a time, and even this last season, like I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus, but like you drop a play and none of it gets executed right, or one person doesn't do anything that you just drew up, and it's like it should be so simple. Those frustrations are like very valid, and you're like that, but and there's been a time when I've done that, and I've had to go because I sometimes do the post game radio guy, and I have to talk through stuff and with him, and I'm not. If I went on there, and obviously high school, that'd be a horrible idea to do. I'd probably be fired. But if I went on there and be like, oh, so and so didn't run the play right, like how does that help your team in the future?
Anything?
How does it help anything but make you look like smarter? It's silly to do that. It's not. It does nothing. Like at the end of the day, Finch is trying to say is like to the fans, I just have to communicate it better how it was, because it's like I'm not gonna call out a player that he messed it up because that doesn't help anything. That loses that trust. But
I think part of the problem is Minnesota basketball fans are like smart fans.
Yes,
I do think like the average Wolves, Lynx, Gophers fan is smarter than like the national average basketball fan. So I think part of the problem is a lot of fans know what went wrong on that play. So they're like, they're just kind of sitting there like, reaffirm what I know, right?
Yeah.
Like this guy didn't do what he was supposed to. And then they hear Finch say like, I got to be better at communicating. Like I got to maybe go through so-and-so a little bit more. And then as a fan, you're just kind of sitting there feeling like you're gaslit, which does not help things. No. But also it's kind of, again, like to your point, like what's calling out somebody going to do? Like Julius is always a hot button issue. Like, I mean, in the 2 years he's been here, the Portland game was like the first time Finch has ever called him out publicly. Like, if you do that too often, a guy just checks out. Like, then you lose them, and then where are you going?
Exactly. And I feel like he responded to the rebounding part of that a little bit better in the Celtics game.
Yeah,
so
9 rebounds.
Yeah, and he was kind of, I mean, honestly, it was probably his best defensive performance on Tatum. There was obviously some Julius lapses, like there always is, but he like locked down Tatum for a big stretch of that game, and I thought that was a big part of why they won. And so that stuff works. Again, not all the time. If you do that all the time, you're gonna lose, especially in the NBA. You're losing that locker room 9 times out of 10. But I don't want, again, I thank you for coming on and stuff, and I don't want to keep you too long, but one more thing. I don't know, I'm doing this thing called Minnesota Madness where I think it's important to kind of like, what's one thing that we're gonna look back like 10 years from now and like remember in our heads, like, oh yeah, that was the year that Bones Highland was going off and he's doing I call it a heat wave. I feel like I saw that one time, but like his little celebration that he does, and like you just remember stuff from that like certain year. And so I put a bracket together to kind of determine which things, and I've been having votes on all over the place, but right now this is the Elite Eight spread. I don't know if you can see it on your end. What are some things? So we had Goosebumps move on to the second round. I don't know how locked in you are to Wild Hockey, but the Wall of St. Paul is a big moment. And then we have JJ McCarthy's 9 moment when he kind of was became a meme essentially. The Will Wiregate in London, and then we had one of your most viral tweets, I'd say, like the video of you scanning the crowd, the Studbuds pink hair night. So that ended up being the 2 seed in the bracket here. Do you think your 2 seed Studbuds pink hair night tweet can make it all the way to the finals here?
I do think so. I mean, I'm looking at the other ones on that bracket.
You got a tough draw with the Bones Heat Wave celebration.
Yeah.
That got the most votes in the first round, surprisingly. The Naz Reid moment after when he was like kind of like looking at the camera after they beat the Lakers at home on the Jumbotron picture. On the other side, we have the Goosebumps becoming like an actual official nickname. So you could eventually match up here with the Crunch Wears No Pants guys.
Do you think it'll be Goosebumps and Bones? Because I think Bones is just going to continue to have these moments where, like, he's just kind of capturing like the fan base, and he has like such a good story. He's such a good guy. Like he's just. I mean, I wouldn't say there's like anyone on the Wolves, Lynx, or Gophers that like have ever treated me like poorly or something, but like. You can kind of tell, like, there's certain days where like you pass a guy in the hallway and you don't get like a hey, how's it going? You just get like a head nod. Like Bones isn't like that at all. Like Bones is just gives the time of day to everyone. He's like geek to meet fans. Like that guy, it's gonna be hard to knock that one off. I think that one might even upset Goosebumps just because. You know, the Goosebumps, it plays in the arena now. It's going to live on Basketball Reference forever. Like credit to Brandon and Jally and Nate, but yeah, Bones this year he's going to do that in the playoffs after hitting a huge shot, and that's going to last forever.
That's so true. That's a great point. Goosebumps is already going to be, it's already a multi-year thing. This is more of this year. I think that has my vote.
Although I will say, I think if you redid the bracket and put the Gophers on there, I bet that one is out.
100%.
People still talk about that Wayland Final Four team.
Yeah.
Like it is like not just WNBA fans or Gophers fans. Like that is like a crowning achievement in Minnesota sports that they made it that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would outdo Bones, but I bet it would get to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I would agree, especially this season with all the magic that's been happening in Williams Arena. But again, thanks again for coming on. I'm gonna give you a chance. You always give me a chance to plug what I'm doing, so I want to make sure I give you a chance to plug all your stuff that you got going on.
Oh gosh, I'll try and make it as fast as I can. ADukeMN on all socials. Like I've said it, like we've talked about a couple times. Gophers, women, Lynx, and Wolves. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, fun story stuff. Also have a post game Lynx and Wolves podcast live stream that goes live after the games. Missing Wolves for the Wolves, missing Lynx for the Lynx. And all of my written work is over on Zone Coverage. Pieces normally come out Wednesdays and Saturdays. Arguably, I put my most work into my written stuff, so I always appreciate it when people check those out. Also, if you're ever bored during the day, All Day Live over on Fox 9, I'm a contributor over there talking basketball, and every once in a while I'm on K-Fan. So if you ever hear me on there, blow up their text line, it helps.
If you do not follow Andrew on Twitter and you're a Wolves fan and Lynx fan, I don't know what you're doing. You need to, because he is constantly putting out content for you, behind the scenes stuff, I would say. And he's a great follow, and great person to have as a communicator for everything that's happening with our basketball teams. And appreciate all the things that you do. So thanks again for coming on. And I'll see you soon on one of the lives. I think I'm going to be on a couple weeks here, but
yeah, we have you on for one more time before the end of the season. So we'll get you on a post-game live. But thanks for all the kind words. Love what you do. I love the positive takes you have. Needs to be more positivity in the fan base when we're going to have a 50-win season.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it could be way worse. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, before we get into the state of the state here, I kind of want to go over the Minnesota Madness update here. We are in the Elite Eight, and here is where the bracket resides at this point. As we see here, Goosebumps, the number 1 overall seed, making it into the second round. One of the most impressive things was the Bones Heatwave getting 100% of the votes in that first round here on the right side of the bracket. They will take on the Stud Buds Pink Hair Knight. That's going to be a awesome matchup. Some other notable move-ons, upsets, if you may. We had the Wall of St. Paul moving on to the next round over the Rebel Loon. But other than that, the big upset was the Pink Pony Club Lynx All-Star coming home video versus the Will the Thrill Wire Game. The Wire Game barely snuck out that win with 63% of the votes. And so you'll be able to vote on Twitter, on X, and on the Google Doc that I have been sending out, because there's no polls option for Bluesky and Instagram as well. So check that out. Vote for your favorite Minnesota moment of the 25-26 seasons, and will be remembered as such. Okay, state of the state time here. It is March 23rd. I'm doing this from March 17th to March 22nd. As a little recap there. We're going to go right to the Puckheads with the Freezepeat Frost. They're 14-4-3. First in the PWHL, where they belong, baby. They're on a 5-game win streak. 2-0 last week against the Ottawa Charge. Huge win. Where we saw them get 4 goals in the first period. Let's watch that. First goal here by Heisey. Good hustle. Those just fun ones behind the net. A cheeky one that sneaks in there for all you football fans over in England. Zumming them with a goal on another break situation. What I noticed about the Frost is we're just a lot faster than most of the teams in the PWHL, and that speed helps us quite a bit as we scored the most goals in the league at 67 at this point. I gotta hang out with fifth graders, just take a number on me. That's 6'7". It's just in my veins. I think I do it more than the kids now. But you see Panic, league leader in goals and points, scoring that goal there. And then O'Donohue with her first goal of the season. Maddie Rooney with their first shutout of the season as well. We're peaking at the right time here, right before the playoffs start here near the end of the month. Another big win against the Vancouver Golden Eye. Goals from Buck Biner, Panic, and Himalarava. I hope I said that right. I got to actually watch this one. The fans again on the road were not happy with the frost. There was maybe one penalty where I was like, man, they might have missed that, but the refs were allowing both teams to play physical, and you just gotta play on, like I didn't see in that game that was that crazy of a disparity in the whistles, or the penalties, but I don't know. What do I know? I'm not a hockey expert by any means. So you can roast me in the comments all you want, but this is just my opinion watching them play. Well, some cool stuff here. The Frost have 3 players tied with 22 points. They're the league leaders in points with those 3 players there, and so it makes it really fun to watch this team with the high scoring that we have. Next games here for the Frost, some huge ones. This is a huge week here. Wednesday we play the Montreal Victory. That's at 6 p.m. FanDuel Sports Network. They are the 3rd place team, so we want to create some space between us and Montreal. And then on Sunday we play the Boston Fleet at 3 o'clock. They are the 2nd place team. This is Megan Keller's team versus the Frost. A little USA battle for potentially first place in the league at this point in the season. But it was fun to see the Frost kind of bring that gold medal magic back, as they're on a huge win streak at this point. So make sure you tune in. If you have FanDuel Sports Network, or if you don't have it, this is the perfect time to get it. We have the Timberwolves getting close to the end of the season. We have the Frost. We have the Wild. You could tune into those games, especially for the Frost. You'll be able to watch almost every single game on the FanDuel Sports Network. If you haven't already, you'll be able to watch it. Just tune in. What are we doing? It's the most dominant team we have right now. All right, let's get wild here. We have the Wild, who are 40, 19, and 12, 3rd in the Central Division, 3rd in the West, as they've been pretty much all year at 92 points. Last week we went 2-1, 2 overtime wins, 1 over Chicago, 4-3. That was a game where we kind of didn't want it that close. We started off hot, and then we kind of allowed them back into the game. Kind of a weird game. Gus Bus has to leave to get an equipment problem figured out. Some speculating that there might have been a bathroom issue. I don't want to be the person who's speculating that, but it seemed the timing on how he just kind of came off the ice randomly and didn't really tell Coach Hines. That was kind of a flag went up in my head, and that people point back to the Paul Pierce situation where he left in the wheelchair, and if that was. If you're confused by that, go look it up. Goals from Hartman, Johansson, Tarasenko, and Zuccarello. Zuccarello with the game winner in overtime to get us over the Blackhawks. We then drop one to the Blackhawks. No Kaprizov. He's day-to-day, and we really needed him for the next game with the Stars, but he was not able to play. But we were able to get a huge win over the Stars. Brink and an overtime winner from Tarasenko. At the beginning of the year, I was talking about guys who I think could make an impact. I wish I could drop the clip right here with our friend Ian Stewart, and how I thought Tarasenko was he's just a name that I feel like has been around for a while. He's been in important moments with his time on the Blues. I just remember him being a problem, and I feel like now that we have him on our team, that veteran leadership, that veteran goal scoring is very helpful in times that you need it. So I think he's going to continue to make an impact as the year goes on here, but we're still a little bit behind in the standings, but that does cover a little bit. Is it a little too late is the big question there, but I think this team's ready for playoffs. I think I'm ready for playoffs. Is this the year is the question there, but I did want to show a cool thing that I saw behind the scenes. This was actually even shot by and helped with the Sasquatch boys. Ian helped film part of this. It's Felino trying to figure out the best way to get into the stadium. And I never thought of this being a problem until I watched this video here. Yeah, let's check it out.
Yesterday to get my bearings, so I feel a little more comfortable now. that's good.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't come in on game day and like, where am I going?
I'm nervous about. I gotta find that other entrance for the game.
As someone who,
get there yet.
I gotta pause this quick. As somebody, my friends always make fun of me whenever I go down to visit them in the cities because a lot of them live down there. I have a huge problem with parking and knowing the most efficient way to get to places. I don't want to get lost. It's a panic for me. It's a panic thing, and so this is I relate so much to this. This is one of the most relatable videos I've seen.
A carpool.
Yeah.
I've taken 3 different ways to get to the same area. I've gone here to go to the practice rink. I've gone
this would be
down
me
Shepherd.
1,000%.
See, like that, is that the entrance? I hope I don't mess this up. I gotta go to like some weird door. Guys, I think I'm doing it. Yeah! That wasn't so bad. Let's go. I'm the new guy. Welcome. How are you guys? Good to be here.
I love how they knew right away too, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm new around here." Yeah, what a guy! What a guy! What a fun thing. It seemed very relatable. And it made me happy because I'm not the only one. Even professional athletes have trouble navigating in new situations. That made me feel good about myself. Next game's here for the Wild. Tuesday at Tampa Bay. It's 6:30. It's a big one. Thursday at Florida. Also a big one. And then Saturday at Boston. A little East Coast road trip there for the boys of Minnesota. All of those can be found at TNT, ESPN, NHL Network if you want to tune into those. I think some of them might be on FanDuel Sports Network too as well, but a good time to watch the Wild. Let's move on to the Loons Wonderball here. We got a draw. So you know what that means. We get a point, half of the points here. Just a little one there. Huge tie for us. We went one game last week with Seattle. We're 1-2-2, fifth for points. This tie was big for a lot of reasons because Seattle's near the top of the standings. It was a good palate cleanser based on the game before with Vancouver where we gave up 6 goals, one of the worst losses in Loons history. Come back at home, 0-0 tie against one of your rivals. And it was fun to see because it seemed like we kind of figured out our identity of what it's supposed to look like at this point with a true back five protecting. It looked almost like Ramsey Ball from last year. Some fans might and critics of the Ramsey Ball is that it's not truly soccer. It's just a kind of like a gimmicky type of way to play, but it's something that has worked for this personnel that we have, and something that I think that this coaching staff is going to look to try to do for at least certain situations throughout the year. They want to be more of a balanced approach, as you saw in the first couple games, but against some of those top teams that we played early on, that looked to be not a good idea there. But one fun moment here from this game, besides a couple great chances from Yeboah and a great defensive stall by Dugan, was James Rodriguez making his MLS Loons home debut, I should say. Let's check it out here, some of those moments, because he came on at a good time and almost impacted the game. No target ads. Come on, get that out of here, dog. Unbelievable. No free sponsors, especially from these guys. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, now I clicked on the target. Now just, here we go. I'm muting this. I'm keeping this in. No free ads, especially from Target. Come on. Why would they bombard me like that? Unbelievable. I know they're the sponsor of the Loons, the main sponsor, but unreal. Okay, let's go back to the Magic here. James Rodriguez coming in. I love the
so you get the crowd
film
cheering
of this.
because you can guess who's headed over to the touchline. It's going to be a massive
I need
ovation
somebody
here.
who is a soccer really well into the to explain this to me in basketball terms. Like, is this like the equivalent of if can't think of a player right now off the top of my head, but NBA terms, this isn't quite at the level of like if Michael Jordan came back and played for your team. It seems insane. I feel like this is a huge deal, but I have no ability to understand how big of a deal this is, because I just have not been watching soccer for as long as a lot of people have. So I don't know. It is interesting, but he had a great chance. Almost had a nice assist to Marcanic and you see here.
For the king of Colombian soccer,
the king of Colombian soccer. Like, that is big praise. Something that I just feel like I'm just unaware. And you can really tell watching how
Rodriguez underneath it. James Rodriguez plays it in behind. Mechanic with a chance to go for goal.
Misses that shot, but
what a
James,
super ball from James Rodriguez.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff there. You could kind of just see the difference in speed between him and the players around them, but you could tell that he's just on a completely different level. So some news here. There's going to be a little break in the action. The next game for the Loons is the 4th of April against LA Galaxy, 9:30, Apple TV. We are international window right now. Some of the players that are competing in this little window of opportunity with some exhibition games would be James, Colombia, with Triantis in Greece, Harvey, Panama, and Bongi in South Africa. So shout out to them. Good luck out there with their exhibition games and getting ready for that World Cup. Another news too, the Loons hired 2 assistant coaches. I've never heard of assistant coaches being hired during the season, but it seems like something that, from what I've gathered and what I've read about and what I've heard from the Looney Bin podcast, is my number one source of information for Loons, insider information, I guess you could say. Danny Cruz is a defensive-minded coach, and he's going to bring some of that expertise into our clubhouse. And then Tom Soren, I think that's how you say it, Tom Soren. He has a lot of experience in the MLS, from what I've gathered, here to help with like logistical stuff. And so interesting that they added at this point. I guess I don't know how a quick turnaround. I don't know how that worked, but it seems like something that happens during MLS. I don't know. The season's so weird with different windows, and it's so long. So I can see how that could happen, but we're going to give a little break here and tune in 2 weeks from now and see, get ready for that LA Galaxy game coming up. Quickly here, Minnesota Twins. This is opening week, opening day on Thursday, March 26th, where the Twins will take on the Baltimore Orioles. That's at 2:05. You can catch that on Twins TV or however you watch it if you have like DirecTV and stuff. Don't get me started on rants about how to watch Twins baseball. I end up just getting my mind in a pretzel trying to figure that out. But I'm not going to go on that rant right now. I just wanted to show some stuff. World Baseball Classic. USA ended up getting second place. Not a fantastic over-the-top showing from Buxton, but it was fun to see him represent the United States and compete in that at the highest level there. And separate from that, I will say I was not very... I've been very grumpy with second place acceptance in sports in general. We saw it with the Minnesota State High School League hockey tournament. I'm not going to really dive into that because I'm not going to criticize high school students, so that's not my thing. But you got to set an example for your student athletes. You need to really show them a good example of it's okay to get second place. Second place is not like you got last place. It's not anything to hang your head about. It's okay to be upset about it, but you need to handle yourself with grace and be able to accept that and be a good sport about it. But anyways, I'm not going to dive too much into that. But seeing grown men get their second place medal and rip it off themselves right away, not be proud of that, was embarrassing. You watch these countries, shout out to Venezuela and how they handle themselves, and you saw the real pride in their country. And I'm not saying there wasn't pride for maybe the United States players, but and maybe there's a higher expectation for that. But I would say on the other side, if Venezuela would have got second place, I think they'd be very proud of what they did. And the sense of pride is about having good character and just being proud of being able to be in that position to represent your country. And just taking off that medal before you even get to celebrate with your teammates and just kind of acting like it's not that big of a deal is just soft. I just think soft. I think it's just soft mentally, and I don't know. I'm just sick of this idea that we have in our country that if you're not first, you're last. I know Ricky Bobby said it, but that was a joke. It was a comedy in Talladega Nights. This is not you could be proud of second place. You could be disappointed that you didn't get a championship, but you still have to be proud and show good sportsmanship by going out and accepting your thing. I don't know. It just seems like baby stuff. It just seems like something that you maybe deal with when you're a little kid and like you learn from that. But a lot of these guys probably didn't have to experience it that much. And you're seeing other countries start to succeed and kind of pass us in a lot of these team sports where we used to just dominate in. And a lot of it we might need to kind of take a page out of their book and how they handle themselves. I don't know. That's a big rant. But moving on from that, spring training, funny moment here. JJ Bergs did he does these voiceovers of commentary, funny commentary interactions. And this one was an all-timer, I would say, from our boy Glenn Perkins and Corey Provis in the spring training game.
So good start for the Twins here in the fourth inning.
You ever seen Buck with his pants down?
What?
No. Like in shorts?
No, like he doesn't have no socks showing.
Ah, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, he's got all the way down to the ankles. Well, to his spikes. So good start for the Twins here in the fourth inning.
You ever seen Buck with his pants down?
Now you could tell that there was a moment where they both looked at each other and realized, that did not come out right, and that happens very often, and especially in baseball, it seems like, because there's a lot of area you need to fill with conversation. And so the more you talk, the more stuff like that's going to happen, where it just like I get what he's saying, but the way he says it is just like, what are you talking about? And someone who has done a little baseball commentary, I found myself in a couple of those situations before. If you're a fan of Marsh Tiger Baseball, you can check us out. It's Studio One. Like I said, Thursday, opening day. We'll check in here next week and see how the Twins start off their season. But I don't know, a lot of excitement, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of all types of weird emotions for this Twins team, and not a lot of high expectations. So it could be a fun year if things go well for them. Okay, we're going to go to Vibe of the Week here. My Vibe of the Week is around the theme of leaving a mark. And I saw a video here from Howard Senior Osei Okaje. From Osei Okaje. I hope I'm saying that right, because he had a couple great viral moments of just perspective at these post-game press conferences about what it means to be a college athlete, what it means to represent Howard University, and what it means just be the best that you could be. And he left a great quote for us, and for athletes everywhere, and what it means when that ball stops bouncing and leaving a mark.
It's like, I feel like, for me, the reason I play so hard, I don't want to get too emotional here, but the reason I play so hard is because of the younger guys on our team, like the freshmen, the sophomores, juniors. Like, I play so hard for them because I had such great role models in this game. I had such great role models. Like, I name all those guys off just to truly say, like, they inspired me to be a better man and a better basketball player every single day. And that's what I try to go into games with and go into the practice with, like, for the younger guys, to be inspiration. Like, at the end of the day, the ball's going to stop bouncing at one day, but it's how you make people feel and the impact you have on them. And that's what I want to leave a lasting impact on these guys, because my OGs left a great impact on me, and I love those guys to death. So every time I have a tough game, anything like that, like, it's funny. I always look at the young guys on the end of the bench, and I'm just like, I got to keep going. I can't falter because they're counting on me, just like I counted on my, seniors and OGs back in the day. For the younger guys.
What an awesome message there. And spot on with how when the game's over, when everything stops and you're done, you're moving on. It's all about how you make people feel, whether it's your teammates, whether it's your coaches, whether it's fans, whether it's your family. This game is an avenue for, and game sports in general are an avenue for character building situations. That's what I think is the most important part about sports, especially collegiate sports as well. This might be the peak of their athletic, like Andrew Dukowitz said earlier here. This is the peak of their sporting career, and it's especially important for people. This is an awesome message that just explains the importance of leaving a mark and leaving a legacy of character and strong character and how you handle yourselves. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of guys in that locker room in the future here are going to remember Osei and how he handled himself and be inspired by how he handled themselves. And that's kind of the most important part, because that's once that ball stops bouncing, you move on to the real world and how you handle things with your family, how you handle things with jobs. That's going to, if you think back to how you handled yourself in basketball or in whatever sport you're playing, it's going to help you quite a bit. And we just wrapped up our basketball season. We had our basketball banquet, and we had an awesome group of seniors who I thought did as what he said with how you handle yourself and how you make people feel. They had a huge impact on how those younger players are going to approach their way of life in the future here. They had a huge impact of how I would like to approach how I coach, even though they might not think that they do have that impact. It's important that you handle yourself like when that ball stops bouncing, when you can't run anymore or can't, whatever you may do. It's how you make people feel, and how you make people feel is probably the most important thing in life. And so I'm going to leave it at that. Again, thanks for watching. If you got to this point, please go check out Andrew Dukowitz's page. I'll put it down below. You can find his Twitter there. Check out Hitting the Hardwood. That's where you find a lot of the content that he puts out for podcast form, live show thing that he calls. Anything that's Minnesota basketball, between Minnesota Wolves, the Lynx, and Gophers women's basketball, especially during this time. Go check him out. He does an awesome job of covering all three of those teams. I don't know how he does it. As well, also, if you can, please go check out the GoFundMe for support of Jesse Pierce's family. Obviously, it's a very tough time for a lot of people in this community, sports community, hockey community in general. I think it's important for us to use moments like this as a kind of a way of perspective. And I didn't know Jessie. Just seeing some of her content out there, she lived her life to the absolute fullest, and I feel like it's important for us to always kind of approach every day like that. And it's kind of the motto of our show here in Sideline Vibes is that don't let your teams control your vibes. You can show up every day, and you could be the person who impacts somebody's vibes in a positive way. And so, yeah, that's all I have for today. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Sideline Vibes.